There comes a moment in the life of every man and every woman where time seems to stop, not because everything is perfect, but because something deep within them realizes that they've crossed a line that can never be uncrossed, that they've endured what others could not, that they've stood tall when it would have been easier to kneel, that they stayed when it would have been easier to run, and when that moment comes, when you look back and realize you passed a test that broke others, it is then that the reward begins. I want you to hear me clearly, and I want your soul to pay attention. You have been chosen not because of your power, but because of your persistence, not because of how perfect you were, but because of how faithful you remained. You didn't quit when quitting was the popular option. You didn't retreat when life threw its fiercest storms. You kept showing up, and now comes the harvest. People will wonder why not them? Why did you receive the favor, the abundance, the doors that suddenly opened, but they didn't see what you endured in silence? They didn't hear the prayers whispered through tears. They didn't witness the nights you wrestled with despair and still said, "God, I trust you." They didn't notice the days you gave your all with nothing in return but more resistance. And yet you remained. That's what separates the chosen from the comfortable. That's what separates the vessels of divine assignment from the ones simply living day to day. There was something inside of you, a calling, a whisper from heaven, a light that wouldn't dim, that kept pulling you forward, and even when you couldn't see the full picture, you obeyed. Even when the world mocked you, even when the bank account screamed empty, even when the betrayal cut deep, you chose faith. And now the reward is coming, not just because you wanted it, but because you earned it through obedience, through tenacity, and through divine timing. You see, many people start strong. Oh yes, they shout loud, they run fast, they make promises, but then life punches them in the mouth and their commitment fades. Their enthusiasm dies with the first setback. Their belief collapses under pressure, but you kept going, and that's why God's eye has been on you. Because the truth is, God doesn't reward talent alone. He doesn't reward mere ambition. He rewards faithfulness. He rewards the soul that keeps knocking when the door stays closed. He rewards the one who shows up even when nothing seems to be working. He rewards the man, the woman, who can still believe in the vision when the vision looks like a lie. When you were overlooked, you didn't become bitter. When they took credit for your work, you didn't stop working. When your name wasn't called, you still showed up. When others walked away from God because it was hard, you stayed. You stayed in the storm, you stayed in the fire, you stayed on the path that most abandoned, and now, heaven has decided its time, but let me tell you this, the reward that is coming is not just money, not just fame, not just opportunity. It is alignment, it is peace in your soul. It is the sudden, supernatural knowing that everything you lost is about to be restored, that everything that didn't make sense is about to make perfect sense, that every delay was divine, that every closed door was redirection, that every heartbreak was preparation, because you were being prepared the entire time, trained in secret, strengthened in obscurity, sharpened in pain, and the world didn't see it, but God did. You see, when you are chosen, your life isn't just about you. Your life becomes an assignment, a message, a testimony. You're not just being blessed for your sake. You're being elevated to show others what God can do through a surrendered vessel. Yes, the fire was hot, but it burned away what didn't belong. Yes, the wilderness was lonely, but it taught you to depend on God and God alone. Yes, the climb was steep, but it gave you muscles that others don't have. You now possess a strength that can't be bought, a wisdom that can't be taught, a faith that cannot be shaken. And don't be surprised when people from your past reappear, not to celebrate you, but to understand how. How did you survive what they didn't? How did you smile through what broke others? How did you turn your pain into power, your setbacks into stepping stones? But you'll know the answer, because you passed the test that wasn't visible. You passed the test of character, the test of consistency, the test of trusting God when nothing made sense, and let me tell you, there is no greater test than that. You see, in this life, rewards don't always come fast, but they always come to those who endure. The ones who keep the vision alive when it looks dead, the ones who plant seeds in a dry land, the ones who say, even if I don't see the outcome today, I will still show up, still trust, still speak life. You were one of them. And now you're about to see what happens when you live like that. The people who gave up, they won't recognize you, because the reward is transformation. You're not just walking into a better season, you're walking in as a better person. More focused, more discerning, more humble, more powerful, more in alignment with heaven. This was never about luck. It was always about preparation meeting purpose. Every breakdown was setting up the breakthrough. Every detour was part of the divine strategy. Every rejection was protection. Every failure was fertilizer. You passed the test that matters most, the test of not quitting. God does not bless chaos. He blesses order. And what you did, when you kept showing up, when you kept seeking wisdom, when you kept refining your attitude, when you stayed in integrity, that was you getting into order. You brought your heart into order. Your habits, your thinking, your energy, you passed the internal test first, and now the external reward must follow. Heaven keeps perfect score, and it always pays what's owed. Now comes the restoration. The peace that surpasses understanding, the favor that accelerates what once seemed delayed, the divine connections, the new levels of clarity, the purpose that wakes you up in the morning with joy instead of dread. You were chosen because you didn't quit, and you are now entering the season where your endurance will speak louder than your excuses ever could, where your actions will testify louder than any words, where your discipline will open doors that talent never could. People who once pitied you will now study you. They will ask for your insight, your story, your secret, but what they won't understand is that it was never about what you knew. It was about what you believed. It was about what you carried. It was about what you withstood without losing your faith. You see, God's chosen ones are not the loudest, not always the strongest, often not the fastest, but they are the faithful, and when the time is right, when the heavens align with your preparation, everything changes in a moment, in a whisper, in a blink. You were tested, not to destroy you, but to develop you. And your development is why you are being delivered. Delivered into new realms, delivered into authority, delivered into the manifestation of what you saw in prayer for years. This is your confirmation. That you didn't suffer for nothing, that you didn't weep for nothing, that you didn't grind in silence for nothing, that you didn't choose integrity for nothing, that you didn't protect your vision for nothing. Now comes the restoration, and it will come faster than you imagined. It will be so overwhelming that you'll have to pause and say, God, is this really happening? And heaven will whisper back, yes, it's been yours the whole time. You just had to pass the test. Let this be your knowing. That your time was never wasted, that your journey was never in vain, that your losses were never final, that your pain was never random. It was all part of the molding, the refining, the preparation. You see, the reward of the chosen is not just in what they receive, but in who they become. You became unshakable, you became clear, you became trustworthy, and that's why you're being trusted with more. So keep your heart humble, keep your hands open, keep your spirit tuned in, because what's about to happen next in your life, it's going to shock even you, and remember this, you are not just favored. You are trusted. That's a far greater honor. Others gave up. You did not. Now comes the reward. You are stepping into a moment where everything that once felt out of reach now begins to flow toward you, not because life suddenly got easy, but because you became the kind of person who could handle it. You earned this level, not by shortcuts, not by luck, not by manipulation, but by staying true. That's what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. That's what separates the ones who only chase blessings from the ones who become a blessing. You became a vessel that could carry the weight of purpose. You grew into someone who could receive without arrogance, who could lead without controlling, who could influence without losing yourself. The road carved you, and the carving was painful, yes, but it shaped the container that is now strong enough to hold the overflow that's coming, and I promise you, it is coming, suddenly, radically, without warning. And it will not be the result of someone else's validation. It will not be because you finally got the applause. It will be because God's appointed time cannot be delayed, and your preparation finally collided with your destiny. Others will wonder how you went from being forgotten to being favored. They'll assume it happened overnight, but you'll know the truth. It didn't happen in a day. It happened in the dark. It happened in the tears. It happened in the quiet decisions to do right when no one was watching. It happened in the lonely seasons where you had to encourage yourself. That's where greatness is born, in the places where no one is clapping, in the days where progress feels invisible, in the hours where you question your own worth but still choose to rise. That is where the chosen are forged, not in palaces, but in prisons, not in comfort, but in crucibles. You weren't just waiting. You were becoming. While others were distracted, you were being disciplined. While others chased shortcuts, you chose the long road. While others begged for attention, you built your character. That's why your reward is going to last, because it's not built on sand, it's built on stone. Let them say what they will. Let them misjudge your story. Let them think it was easy. Their opinion is irrelevant. They didn't fight your battles, they didn't carry your burdens, they didn't hear the voice of God whispering in your spirit, keep going. They don't know what it cost you to keep the vision alive, but the reward knows. The reward has eyes, and it's not just looking for talent, it's looking for trustworthiness. And you, yes, you have proven yourself trustworthy, trustworthy with pain, trustworthy with delay, trustworthy with mystery. That's what heaven has been watching. Not your performance, but your posture. Not your results, but your resilience. You were willing to carry weight that would have crushed others. You didn't fold when the pressure mounted. You didn't abandon your integrity when it seemed like doing wrong would get you ahead. You didn't compromise your soul to gain approval. You stayed pure in the process. You remained grounded when the winds blew. And now the foundation is firm. Now the time is right. Now the soil is ready. And what you plant today will grow faster, higher, and more abundantly than you can imagine, not because of speed, but because of the deep roots you developed in the dark. Let this be your reminder: when others quit, you kept building; when others walked away, you kept believing; when others settled, you kept striving. That's why what's coming will seem unfair to them, but it will feel perfectly justified to you, because you know the nights you sowed in tears. You know the mornings you rose despite the weight of discouragement. You know the cost, and now the universe under divine command will repay. You were being watched the whole time, not just by people, but by God, and He saw what you endured. He saw your faith. He saw your decisions when no one else was looking. He saw your refusal to bow to fear. He saw how you stayed faithful with little. And now He is making you ruler over much. This is not about vanity. This is not about ego. This is about assignment. You are being blessed because you have been assigned to lead others out of what you were once trapped in, assigned to speak light into someone else's darkness, assigned to become the proof that endurance works, that faith works, that honor works. You're not just rising. You're being risen, elevated by unseen forces, accelerated by divine timing, surrounded by opportunities that were hidden until now. And they're not just random chances. They are appointments, strategic, supernatural, sacred. You're about to meet people who will change the direction of your destiny, not by accident, but because heaven decided it was time. You're about to walk through doors that were once sealed shut, not because you forced them, but because your persistence unlocked them. You're about to sit at tables where your name was already written, not because you earned it through popularity, but because you endured with purpose. The reward is not just a thing, it's a realm, it's a higher dimension of living, a sharper level of discernment, a more profound capacity to love, to give, to influence, to create, to prosper. You are now entering that dimension, not because it's easy, but because you are ready. You are ready because you've been made ready. And you didn't need to announce your becoming. You didn't need to scream your worth. You let your life speak. You let your silence roar. You let your walk prove what your words could not. And now, everything that was once held is being released. Not because you changed who you were to get it, but because you refused to change into what others wanted you to become. You stayed true, and truth always wins, so don't look back, don't second. Guess what's being handed to you? Don't apologize for the favor on your life. You paid for it. In tears, in trust, in tenacity. You carried the weight when others dropped it. You stayed the course when others vanished. You believed when belief felt foolish. And now comes the confirmation. Let the doors fly open. Let the blessing overflow. Let the restoration arrive in full, because this isn't a reward for perfection. It's a reward for perseverance, and you, chosen one, have persevered. Let the winds of favor blow. Let the floodgates of increase break wide. Let the reward find you, because it knows exactly where you are. And now, as you stand at the edge of everything you once prayed for, hear this final truth, not as a suggestion, but as a command written in the language of destiny. Do not shrink. Do not apologize for what you've become. Do not play small to make others comfortable. Do not dim your light to ease the insecurities of those who chose comfort over calling. You earned this elevation. You endured to see this day. You became the kind of person God can trust with the weight of glory. Now walk in it. Walk in it with authority. Walk in it with humility. Walk in it with the knowing that this is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of your true assignment. Because when God rewards a person, He's not just giving them a gift. He's placing them on a stage, a platform, a battlefield, and you are now equipped for it. Don't waste your reward trying to prove yourself to those who left. Use it to build, use it to heal, use it to lift others. Use it to show the world what happens when a soul refuses to break. You are not a survivor. You are the evidence of what happens when purpose meets perseverance, when faith collides with fire, when divine timing kisses human endurance. You passed, and because you passed, generations after you will rise. Cycles will break, chains will fall, and your life will become a lighthouse in the storm for every soul who's ever been tempted to give up. You are God's chosen one. Now go and walk like it.